Hi guys, I Aziz welcome you to CoedMaster. In this practical hands-on demo video, I will show you what are the different ways of creating priority queues and what are the most commonly used method that you can call on priority queues. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Alright, let's begin this video. So first of all, I will show you what are the different ways to create priority queues in Java. So the most common ways to create a priority queues is just like we normally create other objects. So let's call priority queues, give it a name PQ is equal to new priority queue. So this is the first way to create priority queues. Now using this object you can call all the methods that are available on priority queue class. The second way to create priority queues is by passing the initial capacity of the size of array in the constructor of the priority queue. Now the question over here is, what is the real advantage of giving initial capacity in the constructor of the priority queues? So my friend, if you remember from the previous video, priority queues internally uses dynamic size arrays. Okay, and what happens in dynamic size array? When arrays gets full, the dynamic size arrays grow itself in size by creating a new array that is of greater size of the previous array, and then it copies all the elements from the previous array to new array. So all of these operations takes time and it is a costly operation, and we always strive for avoiding all of these costly operations. So when we know the number of elements in advance, then we can provide the initial capacity to the constructor of the priority queue, so that the priority queues, instead of creating an array of specified size in the implementation, it creates an array of the size that is given in the constructor of the priority queue. And if we do not provide this size here, it's going to create an array of specified size that are defined in the implementation of the priority queue. So this is how, when you know the number of elements in advance, you can pass the number of elements in the constructor of the priority queues to avoid all the costly operations. So this was the second way to create priority queues, by assigning the initial size in the constructor. Now let's see the third way of creating priority queues, and that is using the existing collection class. So let's create a collection array list, give it a name al is equal to new array list. Okay, let's add few elements to array list. Al dot add 5. Let's add few more elements, 5 4 3 2 1, and pass this existing collection in the constructor of the priority queue. Let's pass it L, and let's try to print this priority queue on the screen. PQ, run the program, and you will see that although we have given all the elements in descending order, but the elements are printed in ascending order. How is it so? Because if you know from the previous video that by default the priority queues arranges all the elements in natural ordering, and internally it uses minimum heap by default. And what happens in minimum heap? The value of root element is always going to be the smallest among all the elements. Okay, so this is how min heap works. So guys, if you have not watched the previous video, I highly recommend to watch the previous video. In previous video, I have explained priority queues in detail. So make sure to watch that video first and then come back here to continue watching this video. Now back on the video. So guys, this is how you can create priority queues, and this priority queues internally uses minimum heap data structure. Now the question over here is, what if we want to create a priority queues with maximum heap data structure? So in this case, we can pass the comparator to the constructor of this priority queue. Now here we can use already predefined comparator that is present in collections class. So let's call collections dot reverse order. So when you pass reverse order comparator, now priority queues internally uses the max heap data structure. So let's add few elements to it. 1 2 3 4, and now let's print the elements of priority queue on the screen. Run the program, and you will see that although we have given all the elements in ascending order, we are getting all the elements in descending order. So this means now this priority queue is using maximum heap internally. And what is the property of maximum heap? The value of root is largest among all the elements. Okay, so when you call peak on this object, you will see that the largest value gets printed on the screen, and that is 4. So this means the priority queues is working absolutely fine. So we have seen how to create priority queues with maximum heap, and we have also seen the offer method and peak method. Now let's see the poll method of the priority queue. So pq.poll. So poll method is used to remove the elements from the priority queue. So let's call system.out and call pq.poll. So it's going to remove the largest element from the queue, because currently this priority queue is implemented using maximum heap. So the 4 is the largest element among all the elements, and then we are printing the peak element of the queue. So after removing 4, we are left with 1, 2, 3, and the largest element among 1, 2, 3 is 3. So that is why 3 gets printed on the screen. Now the next method that we are going to see is the iterator method. So let's call iterator, okay, it is equal to pq.iterator, okay. So this method gives us iterators so that we can iterate through all the elements of priority queue. So it.check has next. So if it has element, then we are going to print element on the screen. So it.next. Run the program and you will see that all the elements gets printed on the screen, 4, 3, 2 and 1. So far so clear. Now let's see the next method, that is contains method. So contains method is used to check the element is contained in the priority queues or not. So let's call contains and give it a invalid object, that is 5. So in case of 5, it will give false because 5 is not present in this priority queue. Let's make it 4 and run the program. Now you will see that it is giving true because 4 is present in the priority queue. Now the next method we are going to see is the size method, and size method returns the number of elements that are present in the priority queue. So you can see it is giving 4. So there are 4 elements present in the priority queue. The last method we are going to see is the toArray method, okay. So let's call arrays.toString and then call PriorityQueue.toArray. So what this function does, it simply converts all the elements into array representation. So let's run the program and you will see that elements are printed on the screen. So guys, so far I have shown you all the methods like how to create priority queues and different ways to create priority queues, and all the methods like offer, pool, peak, iterator, contain, size and toArray. So guys, in all of these examples I have used primitive data types, okay, but the collections framework classes always work with non-primitive data types. So why is it working? So guys, what happens when we pass primitive data types to collection classes, the Java automatically converts these primitive data types into non-primitive data types. And how it does? It simply does like this. It calls integer.value of method, and this method returns the non-primitive type of 4, and that is the integer class. So integer class is a wrapper class over the primitive type. So whenever we pass non-primitive data types, it automatically gets converted into non-primitive counterparts. And for integer, the non-primitive class is capital INTEGR, integer. So that is why it is working with non-primitive data types. Now, if you want to use the priority queues with your own user-defined data types, for example, any object, then it is must to implement the comparable interface. Why? Because the priority queues internally uses comparator method to arrange all the elements in a specific order. For example, in ascending order or descending order or natural ordering. So make sure to implement comparable interface whenever you want to use your own defined data types. So guys, I hope all of these methods are clear to you. So this is all from my side. If you have learned something from this video, then hit the like button in order to make YouTube algorithm happy. Please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to click the bell icon so my friend, you never miss any upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.